Hey guys, it's James with Appalachian DIY. Today we're starting a few projects on this this '04 Honda Odyssey. I've got a few videos to come over the next few weeks for a few repairs that we're doing on this. But today we will be doing a door lock actuator. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to do before starting is to roll the window up on the van. You can always do this later, it just saves a step. Once everything's disconnected, you know, if the window's down, it's going to be in the way, so we want to make sure that we have the window up first, and from there we'll go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so looking at the door panel here, we have a few screws that we need to deal with. We've got a couple here hidden, one behind this little circly piece of plastic there, and then one down there. What we'll do is just take a little screwdriver and kind of pop these little covers up and out of the way. Once we do that, we'll be able to get to the screws. Sometimes there's some screws under here. If this door panel's been removed before, they may or may not be in here. But we've got a few screws here that once we remove the speaker grill we can see. So we don't need to remove the screws in the speaker itself, but we'll want to remove these around it right here. There's one down there, and one there. So let's go ahead and remove those real quick. Alright, with the screws out of the way, you can go ahead and lift up here on your power window switch. We'll want to remove these connectors here. Got a blue one. We'll just push the tab here on the front, remove that, and then this one right here has a little red tab. We'll want to push that, pull out. On the door handle bezel here, we want to slide this forward like that. We've got the rod here we need to deal with. So what we'll do is just pop this clip backwards. You can see it kind of retains this rod here. You may need to use a screwdriver. Just kind of fold that out of the way like that. Pull the rod upward, and then we'll deal with this connector. Okay, next we need to remove the door panel itself. So we're going to take a suitable pry tool. This one's actually made for door panels, but it's not necessary. If you can get a screwdriver in here, or even your fingertips, what we need to do is lift, pull the door panel away from the door itself. Okay, once you have all the clips separated, you can move the door panel back and forth. You can kind of jiggle it free, or use a screwdriver or something like that to just pop this off. With the cover out of the way, we can go ahead and lift up on the door panel. We've got a speaker wire connector that we need to deal with down here at the bottom. Now we can pull the door panel out of the way. Alright, we've got a few things here we need to get rid of. Just kind of pop these out of the way here. Pull this plastic back. Okay, with the plastic out of the way, we're looking inside the hole in the door here. We're going to need to remove this this track right here. To do that, we'll go here on the outside of the door. We've got a 10mm bolt right here. With that bolt removed, you can pull down on this track and just lift it right out of the way. Okay, at this point we're going to need to remove the door handle. It's right in the way of where we need to be. So we actually have 3 bolts holding this in. There's one here, and if you look down in this hole, we'll see another one right down there. Okay, the one down in this hole, the rod's kind of in the way of the bolt, you can just lift the handle up and get your socket and extension down there. Okay, with those bolts out of the way, we have this tiny Phillips screw right there that we need to deal with. Okay, now with that screw removed, this little thing here will just fall right down. Our next step is to remove this little plastic clip. With the clip up, we can drop the rod out. Okay, with the rod removed, this part can be a little tricky. This whole assembly here with the door handle needs to come out of this hole. So there's no great way to do this. We just kind of want to move it around and wiggle it up and outwards until we can get this to clear and pull out of the hole. Okay, so once we're at this point, what we need to do is remove this metal rod here from the handle assembly. So there's a couple ways you can do that. One is you can pry between here and here with something, and it'll pop this rod out, and there'll be a bushing. This bushing right here may come out with it. So at that point, you would, pull the little bushing off of this rod right here, and then you would want to put it back inside here. Another way is you can try and pry up here on the bushing so that it will release from this metal rod. That's kind of tricky. Either way is kind of tricky. Another thing we can do is what I'm going to do. If you notice there's paint here, it marks this rod, which is threaded. So what we can do is we can actually unscrew it. You'll see the paint here left on the rod. Whenever we go to screw this back in, we'll just make sure that it's lined up with the old paint. This is a little kind of guide here for this. So we want to remove this screw and get it out of our way. I've already got that screw on the other side of the door removed. Just take something to kind of pry right here. Okay, we're on the side of the door now. This next step is very important to use the right tool. We need to remove these 3 screws that hold the door latch in. You don't want to use a regular Phillips screwdriver because you'll end up stripping out the insides of these screws, and it'll be a huge pain to get them out at that point. So there's a few options. You can use an impact driver, like an electric impact driver. You could use a Phillips head socket with a ratchet. I'm going to be using a drill. You need to make sure that it's a number 3 Phillips to go inside these screws. If you use a smaller one, it'll strip them out. And you want to make sure that you put plenty of inward force on these screws, because these screws are very tight, and that's why you don't want to use a regular screwdriver. Okay, with those 3 screws removed, the door latch and door lock actuator assembly will want to kind of fall down a little bit. Okay, we need to position the rods so that they can be pulled out with the assembly. Okay, once you can reach the connectors, let's go ahead and remove those. Okay, now we need to separate the door latch from the actuator, so we'll remove these screws. Remove the white plastic cover. Okay, you can see the only thing left connecting the actuator and the door latch is just this little piece right here. So what we can do is just move this to the side like that, and the actuator will slide right out. So to make this as easy as possible to get everything transferred over, I'd recommend just leaving it exactly like this, grabbing your new actuator, putting it right next to it in the same position that it's already in, set it to the side, slide the new actuator in place, pop that lever down. Alright, go ahead and position your actuator like this. We need to reinstall this white plastic kind of holder. It holds the two together in place so we can get all the screws back in. So this is a little bit tricky. If you're looking at this white piece, you'll notice this little nipple here. We want it to go in this hole. This hole right here will line up with this hole right here. So to make that happen, we need to kind of slide this in here carefully. Okay, once you get that positioned like that, start reinstalling the screws. Okay, at this point, guys, I'm just trying to get this harness out of the way. There's a little connector here that we didn't remove before. It's going to be in your way when you're trying to go back in with this, so just move that wiring out of the way. Okay, so we're going back in with the actuator and door latch assembly here. This can be kind of awkward and annoying and mostly just a pain in the ass. But you want to make sure we get the door lock rod going through the hole up here with the door lock hole thing, and so you just rotate it around and try and get it through. What I'm doing here at this point is just trying to line up the holes on the outside of the door with the holes on the door latch. So once we get those lined up, go ahead and we could start installing the screws again. So now go ahead and reinstall the wire harness. Next we'll install this white plastic piece. Don't forget the screw on the front. Make sure that your door lock rod is free. I'm going to clip your door handle rod here back in this little holder. Okay, let's go ahead and get the connectors reinstalled. Okay, let's go ahead and put the door handle back on to the rod here. Okay, once we've got that in, we need to kind of reverse maneuver this thing back in the way it was before, which, if you remember, was kind of difficult. It's just going to have to go in different stages. Just kind of work it in and see what's going to work best for you. I don't have an exact answer on how exactly this goes in. I don't know that there is one. Just play with it and be careful so you're not scratching the paint all around here. Okay, once you have all the bolts started here for the door handle, and you're fairly certain that the door handle is flush against the door, you can go ahead and tighten up the bolts. Alright, looking inside the door, we need to get this this rod here back in the hole. Push this clip down to secure it into place. Okay, now we need to address this this little thing here. It's going to be probably pretty difficult to get the screw started. Just be patient. Got a little notch here that it sits in. Okay guys, next we need to install this rail for the window here. This can be a little tricky depending on which way you do it, but I'll show you the easiest way that I can think. First off, we know that that right there is the hole for the bolt that goes right there on the outside of the door, so we want to make sure this stays out. Then go ahead and slide it up here inside the door. So if you look at this here, this is what the window is actually going to slide down into. So what we want to do is kind of look down here by the bottom of the window, the glass, slide this rail up so that the glass slides in between the two pieces of rubber here. And make sure that you don't have any wires like this one right here that's going to be on this side of the rail or the track here, because that'll interfere with the window. So make sure there's nothing interfering the window where the glass is going to slide down. All that looks good. So we'll come out here to the outside and we can kind of slide this track down here a little bit to line up that bolt hole. Okay, before we go too much further, we need to verify a few things. We want to make sure that the door opens and closes properly, that the locks work and all that good stuff. We need to make sure that the window is going to roll up and down right. Plug in our window switch. Make sure everything there works. 2 plugs back in there. Don't forget to reconnect your speaker connector. Okay, with the door panel sitting in place, we need to look at these clips here on the inside of the door. As long as you can line up, say 1 or 2 clips with the corresponding holes. Okay, so let's install the door handle. We need to put this little rod inside that hole and then turn the clip over, just like the other clip. Once you have it in there, just slide it backwards. Alright, let's just wrap things up. We get the screw here for the door handle bezel, back the connectors for the power window switch, and then the screw for the power window switch. Hopefully this job wasn't too bad for you. The rest of the video is just going to be me kind of struggling with the door handle, trying to get it back in. It was a huge pain in the ass. I'm just looking around for my flashlight right now. Feel free to turn it off at any time. It really took me probably the longest to get the handle back in. Just trying different combinations of kind of rotating it and which direction was going to go in first. Anyway, good luck and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.